Hello friends, welcome to my Sustainable Sewing online class. My name is Christy Tegerstrom and I'm an artist living in Austin, Texas, and I work under the name Featherweight Studio. We're actually in my art studio right now, and this online class, this is my first online class, and it's a DIY production. So I am the host, the writer, the lighting person, the camera person. This is DIY. I'm a big proponent of DIY and doing the things you want to do. So get into the vibe. That's the vibe we've got. This is my studio. This is stuff I use. You see stuff I paint or different secondhand supplies I've got. So welcome to my world. I'm excited you're here, and there's two passions of mine that I'm going to talk to you about, which is sewing and sustainability. I love to sew, and I super duper passionately love the earth and want to be a good steward of the earth. So in that sense, I'm talking about sustainability as in how can we not deplete the earth's natural resources, and how can we do our part to kind of help the earth maintain its own ecological balance. Now, I am not an expert in sustainability or climate change or anything like that. It's a passion of mine, so I've read a bunch about it and it's informed all of my decisions, but I'm not going to go into a whole ton of facts about that. I'm making an assumption because since you signed up for a course called Sustainable Sewing, that you have your own reasons why you're interested in sustainability. And I'll share with you some facts and figures and resources here and there, but there are a ton of amazing books, articles online, videos, documentaries for really further reading about the climate. But in this course, I am going to share with you what I have come to learn and to practice as far as sustainability in my own sewing practice. A lot of it's stuff I've just made up and figured out, and I want to share that with you to give you tons of ideas and inspiration so that you can figure out what you want to try and what might work for you. What I don't want to do is, sometimes I see when people talk about sustainability, sometimes it gets really heavy and complicated, and it feels like you almost get painted into a corner, and it's almost like opening Russian dolls. It's like, well, if I think about this, then I have to think about that. And does organic cotton, the production of organic cotton, does it waste too much water, and this and that? And you can just whittle yourself down to thinking, okay, I'm just going to go sleep on the dirt and eat twigs and berries for the rest of my life. So that's not what I'm going to encourage you to do. I want your sewing practice to be as fun and joyful, even more fun and joyful than it already is. I don't want to take your joy away ever. I want to increase it. And I want to make you feel attracted and inspired by sustainability, which I am. So I want to open up your world and give you tons of encouragement and inspiration. And I want this to be fun. So there's no shame and there's no hard and fast rules. I'm just giving you inspiration, and you're the boss of you, and you're going to take what you like and you're going to leave the rest, and then you're going to figure some stuff out and send me an email and tell me something that I completely forgot to talk about or something I've never even heard of. So we're going to help each other out. So how did I get into sustainable sewing? In a nutshell, in 2009, I took a pledge to not buy new clothes for a year, and let me tell you, it was really easy. It was totally easy. And one of the side effects of that was that I ended up never buying fast fashion again, because I started educating myself a little bit about climate change and the environment, fast fashion, etc. So I haven't bought fast fashion since 2009. But in that year where I wasn't buying any new clothes, I started getting back into sewing. I've been sewing since I was 13, but not every single year. So I got back into it, and because I wasn't buying new clothes, I wasn't going to go and buy new patterns and new fabric. That would seem kind of counterintuitive. So I began sourcing secondhand for everything, and it was a great crash course in how fun that could be. And I really obviously fell in love with it. So I'm going to be sharing with you the decade of tips and tricks and thoughts that I have come up with since I've been sewing sustainably. There's two things I ask myself in terms of sustainability when I'm making purchases or when I'm bringing something new to me into my life. The first question I ask is, where did it come from? And what I mean by that is, who made it? How were the people treated who made it? Where's my money going to? Who am I supporting? Am I supporting one of the world's handful of billionaires with this purchase? Or am I supporting a small business? Or am I supporting an individual by buying something secondhand? So I think of, where did it come from? I always vote, by the way, what goes along with that is that I always vote with my dollars. Every dollar you spend is a vote for the type of world you want to live in. So that goes hand in hand. Where did it come from? Who am I supporting with this purchase? And then the second question I ask is, where is it going to go when I'm finished with it? So for me, the answer is never, I'm just going to throw this whole thing away when I'm over it or I'm done with it. I try to not treat anything as purely disposable. I try not to throw things in the trash. I'm not perfect, but I try to think about, where's it going to go when I'm done with it? So that means I compost, I use reusable items, and you can think about this in terms of sewing as being a good steward of whatever you're making. So you can think about, well, I'm only going to use what I need, and then I'm going to sell or re-gift what I don't need, etc. Or buying secondhand, I think about, okay, I bought this secondhand, but maybe I don't need it anymore. I'm going to take good care of it until I find somebody else to give it to or sell it to. So where is it coming from, and where is it going when I'm done with it? On the flip side, what are some things that feel unsustainable? So throwing things away, creating waste, unsustainable. We can also think of things being unsustainable in terms of our stress levels or our finances. So maybe if we've hoarded up too many supplies and we can't actually store the things we have, that's kind of unsustainable for us mentally and emotionally. Or if we're kind of chasing after trends or making impulse purchases, then we might go into debt over buying too much. And being in debt, that's not really very sustainable for you financially. So you can think about it in those terms. What does that mean to you? You can explore what feels sustainable for you. It's just kind of keeping everything in balance and harmony, and that you feel like you have peace and you're doing what works for you. Another note on that impulse buying or buying too much, I encourage you to take an inventory of what influences your purchases and who are the influencers that you're watching, and when do you make impulse purchases. Once you get a handle on those impulse purchases or being influenced to buy something that maybe you don't need, that will really give you a lot of freedom. That is something I learned when I took that year off of buying new clothes, that for a whole year, nothing made me buy something new. So it's a great practice. You could take a month off if you wanted to, but keep that in mind, especially when we're scrolling through social media and then the latest pattern is out, or some really great sewing bloggers got some really cute dress, and then we want to make that dress, but we didn't stop to think, oh, that waistline is not going to look good on my body type. It looks good on her or him, but it doesn't work for me, etc. So think about that. By the way, I am not here to shame you. I am not here to tell you, you must do this, you can't do that. This is just to inspire you. And also, I am not a capsule wardrobe person. I am not a cream linen, I own 30 things in cream and navy, and that's it. I understand that's a total beautiful aesthetic. It's just not how I roll. I obviously like color, and what I am is I am a maximalist who's here to make a minimal impact on the earth. And you can absolutely do that, and I will show you how I do that. And another thing I'll do in this course as we go through it is that I'll show and tell you a lot of the stuff that I've made. So let's start right now. I am wearing a button-down shirt that I made from a 1930s pattern, and this is vintage cotton. It's so pretty, and I love these vintage buttons. Buttons bring me a lot of joy. They're like candy. They just draw my eye to them, and I love making a pop of color, a little accent. It's like another piece of jewelry. But throughout these modules, I'll show you a lot of the stuff that I've made, because let's be honest, I like seeing what you make, so I'm going to show you what I make. And yeah, there's no perfection here, there's no rules. And let me just tell you what's coming next. I'm going to talk about sewing machines. I'm going to talk about supplies, patterns, fabric, and I'm going to talk about remaking and mending, which is something that I also really love to do. I like to take little forgotten items and remake them into something really fun and fabulous and one of a kind. So I'll talk a little bit about that too. So that is my introduction to sustainable sewing. How did I do? Did I mention this is my first online class? I'm so glad you're here. I love this topic, and let's go on to the next module, which is about sewing machines, and I will tell you about Miss Featherweight, she's my main sewing machine, and that's why my company is called Featherweight Studio. So that's next. Bye, friends.